scooter heads, and those who identify as scooter heads. Welcome to the Electric Scooter Podcast, episode 20. Today we're in Phoenix, Arizona, visiting Phat Scooters. Might not be what you think it is. To be honest, I always prepare for podcasts. I do my research. I talk to people. I usually speak to who I'm interviewing ahead of time to find out some information. That all went out the window this time. I was in Phoenix on other business, and I thought I'd look up and see what's going on in this town, scooter-wise. Well, I found Phat Scooters, P-H-A-T, and my mind was blown. A couple years ago, I'd look into them onto the interwebs a little bit. But this time, I went in cold. I knew really nothing. So the reactions you hear from me during this interview are genuine. For example, the fact that they have a TV show coming out. Come on, a good podcaster, a good interviewer would have known that going into the interview. I had no idea. And my comparisons to OCC, American Chopper, I just made that naturally. I didn't know they actually have a TV show coming out, and it will be somewhat along the lines of that show. So, here we go. Let's get into the interview. Episode 20 of the Electric Scooter Podcast. All right, enough talking. Let's get to the interview with COO of Phat Scooters, Derek.
So, Derek, how you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming over, Dagwood. I'm glad that you were in town and able to stop by and give you the tour and chat a little bit about scoots.
Yeah, thank you, because the tour that you gave me prior to us coming here to sit down and do the podcast kind of blew my mind. Yeah. It's way bigger, more expansive, and more incredible than I anticipated. I was actually thinking I was going to come into a little scooter shop and, we've got some scooters, but this is a full-on production line.
Yes.
And pardon me, I hope you don't mind if I make the comparison, but it reminds me of when I used to watch television and the OCC, Orange County Choppers. It's like you got a little bit of that vibe going on here.
Well, and it is funny, but Paul Sr. actually has two Phat Scooters that he has completely pimped, and occasionally I get a video from him, or the better ones are people that post on Instagram and they're like, I think I just saw Paul Sr. cruising down someplace on a Phat Scooter. Awesome. And they're like, is that the guy from Orange County Choppers? So the comparison, I think, is good, because that is what our claim to fame has always been, is not the mass production of scooters, although we produce a lot of scooters. Mm-hmm. It's been this really high-end custom for a consumer that wants something that is absolutely unique. And I think you saw some even on the floor. There's a Nike scooter on the floor that we were sent a shoe and told, design a scooter to match this shoe.
And you've got a phenomenal guy working the upholstery there.
Our upholstery shop is like nothing in this world. I mean, it really, it's amazing what Nick can do. And, not just in the seats of what he can do, but, we didn't have any sidecars out there where he custom upholstered. But, you can imagine he's doing that in a 1 foot square space. Imagine when he gets to do that entire cab of the scooter. So it is pretty amazing what we've been able to accomplish here.
And what I love about you mentioning Paul Sr. is that that gives a stamp of credibility to your product, because I have friends all over the world that are into motocross, ATVs, this whole world, not just 2 wheels, 3 wheels, seated, unseated. And my buddies that are into motocross and ATVs and all kind of thing, they kind of have this image of scooters. It's going to be a guy with a little helicopter blade on a beanie.
Sure. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
He's rubbing a booger between his index finger.
Totally.
But Paul Sr.
This is not that.
No, that right there tells you this is the real deal.
Well, and I mean, right here above us, Dominique Wilkins' jersey is hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
His signature from custom scooters that we've designed for the Human Highlight film. I mean, the GOAT in every sport owns one of these, and I'm very serious in saying that. I don't care if it's golf or if it's basketball or if it's football or if it's baseball or if it's motorsports or whatever it is. The best NASCAR drivers in the world, Michael Waltrip, I've been texting with him all day, 2-time Daytona 500 winner. Those are our customers, and this fits a niche. And some of our customers are that extreme power sports. They want to get out and they want to go fast and they want to break an arm. As we were talking about they want to do that. Yeah. But this is more that chill. When I'm out with the wife, I'm out with the grandkids, I want to go hit the golf course, I want to cruise with a couple of buddies. This is a little bit more chill, right? And I explained to you when we're out on the floor, we sell a lot inside of country clubs. I mean, we have one country club that's less than 100 miles from here that there's 200, and as of today, we're dropping off our 250th scooter in that neighborhood of only 280 homes.
Wow.
So,
what are those 30 guys doing?
I don't know what the hell those guys are out to. Yeah, there's something wrong with them. But I mean, we just recently produced our own TV show and have an agreement with Crackle, which is the third largest streaming platform.
They had Seinfeld show on there.
They started the Seinfeld show.
Yeah, drinking coffee, comedians in cars drinking coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that we're the new Crackle original will be heavily promoted starting in the next few days. It's pretty awesome. And there's actually, we went to Pine Canyon, this country club I mentioned, and had cameras running. And there's literally like just random shots where if you pause it, you can catch 15 to 20 Phat Scooters, like out on the golf course, in the woods, down by the lake, guys fishing, kids on the street. So it is pretty cool to see that. And I think where a lot of other scooter companies are sort of a niche, where we actually tend to find our place as sort of this golf cart replacement, this alternative to a golf cart. I don't want the granddad's golf cart. And there are some cool pimped out custom golf carts out there. And we sell our scooters to them too, because you don't always need that full vehicle, right?
And these scooters are bitchin' looking. Do you want to go out there in some geriatric looking vehicle, or do you want to go out there in a total pimped out, like again, I said the comparison with OCC, not that they're the pinnacle, but, and I actually would probably, I would argue that what you are producing is way more practical and definitely in this day and age, super cool compared to OCC. They did some really outlandish, crazy stuff.
And we do some outrageous ones too. I mean, there's one out in the lobby. I didn't get a chance to show it to you, a Lumalore scooter. It's a $20,000 paint job. I mean, it glows. Literally, you can program the paint to flash in different sequences. Nobody's going to ride that scooter on the street, right? There are some rappers that we deal with that might ride it in a music video or something, but for the most part, you're right. This is a little bit of more of a utility thing. At the cost point that we're at, I look at Orange County Choppers, and it's sort of a great example because we're talking about TV shows. Their bikes are $80,000. You can get a madly pimped out Phat Scooter for $10,000, and you saw some of the ones with the sidecar with the shark on the side. It looks like it's an airplane, or the one with the big subwoofer. I think it's about a 6,000.
Is that the pink one?
The pink one. I think it's got
is.
a 5,000 watt speaker system in it with Rockford Fuzz. It has 2 full wakeboard towers on it, so you can imagine the sound that puts off. And we do have DJs, some of the top DJs in the world that buy these and do mobile. Like I want to just cruise on stage already doing it. I don't want to be plugged in, right? Wow. So we've had musicians that use them to plug into, guys like Jeremy Renner, who's a musician as well as being one of the Avengers. Yeah. He plugs into his. He's got a whole DJ booth on his so he can mix songs. Wow. And, it's just like, not that the spirit's going to come upon, you're out in the woods driving a scooter and the spirit comes upon you and you have to mix a song. But, I guess if you want to, it could be inspiring. So that's the kind of stuff that we build here.
What leaps to my mind and why I would understand so many athletes, golfers, football players, baseball players would be interested in something like this. The practical side is NASCAR. If you're involved in something that covers a lot of area and you've got to get from point A to point B, you got to get to your car from the parking lot or whatever, do you want to walk in the hot sun, expending your energy to get there, or do you want to feel the breeze in your face, look cool while doing it? So if they got to get, they're lifting weights and now they got to get to the swimming pool, do they want to walk there, or are they going to see their mom later, their wife later, and they want to cruise over there quickly in a geriatric looking golf cart? Or do you want to be the coolest guy out there who's, you're driving a Lamborghini, do you want to take a Vespa? Nothing against Vespas.
No, nothing.
Been to the museum in Italy. I love them. Yeah. But do you want a Vespa, or do you want to cruise over there in a Phat Scooter?
Well, and I showed you the jacket that's hanging up on my wall right now, right? The Wild Hogs jacket. That's the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, Arizona Cardinals, all the players have scooters. When they're at camp, that is the way that they get around.
Did they give you that?
We actually made this for them, and then
I see.
I'm the only official non-Cardinal player with one, right? Because it was my gift. I get to keep a hold of it. But San Francisco Giants have them all over the place at spring training. 49ers have them. Dallas Cowboys have them. Seattle Seahawks have them. They go to camp, and nobody really wants them riding around a motorcycle or even walking, right? They just want to get from point A to point B. They want to go from the training room to the weight room to the field, and this is a really easy, cool way to do that. They can play their tunes. It's good for us because I got to say, you put a 2,000 watt speaker system in one, and then another player calls and is like, "Can you send a guy over because his can't be louder than mine?"
Mine's got to be 4,000 watts.
Amazing.
He's got 2,000. I want more.
We just did one for Little John, turned down for what fame, and he's actually in the TV show, and he actually sent a picture of DJ Khaled's scooter and said, "I want that." It's like, right? It's like I want something that's the equivalent or better to what other DJs out there have, and that's cool. But we also do sell to just a regular average Joe, right? I mean, I've got an employee here that was a Phat Scooter customer for years and is now an employee here. He drives to work 15 miles a day on his Phat Scooter back and forth. Doesn't own a car. He's like, that's just my way of getting around.
And he's saving the planet.
Exactly.
Have you heard this statistic? They did a study. When I say they, it was a company that was hired by the U.S. government to figure this out. And then the guys at Electric Scooter Guide, who I mentioned earlier, did a graph of it that you can actually see. They took a Toyota Corolla, a Tesla, and an electric scooter to see how far can you go on $20 worth of fuel. How much distance will that buy you? The Corolla went to Reno, Nevada. I think the Tesla went to Salt Lake City, and the electric scooter went to Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, from Berkeley, California.
That's amazing.
I should have said that in the beginning. That's the starting point. Where can you get to? And literally around the planet.
Now, I would tell you put a 7,000 watt speaker system in it. You maybe not, right?
Time to scooter. Yeah, people think... or people say scooters are all fun and games. Well, they are for me. I think we're from the same tribe. We think similar. It's wonderful that people are saving the planet, and that's a great thing, and I encourage it. And I'm happy for that, but I'm in it for the fun.
I mean, what has the planet ever done for us anyways, right? No. And I came from a sustainability background, so, I've done consulting for a lot of the big five on sustainability. So the sustainability aspect is truly something that we always want to remember here. We want to remember that, we want to be conscious of the limited resources we have on this planet. And, there's nothing like an electric motor. I mean, these electric motors will go forever. Even in these scooters, I think most engineers will tell you could probably get 1 million miles off one of these motors. They just don't go
less
bad.
Moving parts.
Yeah, there's less moving parts. I mean, even when you refurbish them, because now we've been around long enough that we're starting to become like a car company where people are trading them in. And other than the battery, really not much can go bad. I mean, it's just, there's not a lot of moving parts. And battery technology, the main reason we end up replacing batteries is because the tech from 3 years ago is just, it's 100-year-old technology.
The quickening, leaps and bounds in shorter amounts.
I mean,
of
sometimes
time.
it's batch by batch basis where we're doing testing on our batteries, and our factory will reach out and be like, hey, we're going to do some improvements, and we're going to change the BMS. We're going to do something, and we get them here, and we're like, this is 10% better than what we got 6 months ago. Yeah. And that's just the way that it's the improvement of the technology. And I think it's going, once we get to lithium metal batteries in a few years and all that kind of cool stuff, you're talking these scooters will get hundreds and hundreds of miles range and can charge in 15, 20 minutes. And that's where it's going.
Your company is also doing things that indirectly are good for the environment, not just non-polluting and using less fuel to propel people. But I understand you're shifting some of your production so that the parts that you receive, at least not all of them. I mean, in the real world, we have to get parts from Asia because that's the way it is.
That's where the supply chain is.
But by moving certain parts closer to the United States, that is less gigantic ships crossing the ocean. And I got to imagine it's got to shorten your production time.
It shortens the production time, but a great example just happened in our inventory meeting this morning. Previously, we could put 90 of our scooters in a 40-foot container coming from Asia. We now can get 355.
Wow.
And why is that?
Smaller scooters.
Yeah.
Bigger containers.
It's mostly because the frame is coming here now. The packaging is in the U.S. Certain components are now starting to be created here in the U.S. or through the Mexico-America trade agreement. There's lots you can say about Trump, but I think one of the things that he did was really smart is really created this maquiladora relationship between the U.S. and said, look, if you're a Mexican manufacturer and you're going to produce a product that's going to be finally assembled here in the U.S., we'll give you the U.S. stamp. So you now can purchase parts and create parts in Mexico and bring them across the border that say made in America on them.
Because it's North America.
Because it's made in North America. It doesn't say made in the USA. It's made in America.
A lot of people think that North America is made up of Canada and the United States. For people who don't know this, Mexico is not Central America. It's North America.
No. And listen, Arizona wasn't part of the U.S. until just, 100 and some years ago. It was Mexico. Let's just be honest. We're in old Mexico right now. We're not in the U.S.
I'm from Hawaii. People have asked me, what kind of money do you use over there?
Exactly.
And even New Mexico, I'm sure they fight that battle all the time.
Trust me, we go to Mexican beaches pretty often, and they don't want pesos. They want American dollars. They're close enough to the border that's where the trade occurs. So I think that was a really smart thing that administration did, is they said, look, it's difficult to bring the Asian manufacturing back to the U.S., but let's at least bring it across the pond, and let's get some of it there. And there's even ways now with Mexico that you can bring Asian parts into Mexico and bring them up across the border, and you can get different tariff levels. So that they did some smart things where they actually said, hey, look, there's a large base there of labor. Let's take advantage of that, and let's put some rules in place that said the final assembly has to happen here. You still have to create the American jobs here, but you can utilize that resource of just right down across the border. And for us, it's much better from a cash flow perspective. The Asian supply chain, although there's a lot of quality there's a lot of innovation there. It's 4 to 5 months. Yeah, we can be in Mexico in 2 hours right now. If we get on a scooter, we can be there in about 4.5, 5 hours right now,
And only use 38 cents in electricity or something like that. Yeah, and I am really a proponent of helping Mexico too, because anything that improves their economy is helpful to us. And I can tell you, I own Fender guitars made in America and made in Mexico. And not only would I say there's nothing wrong with the ones made in Mexico, they're super high quality. They're very good. And there are Texas guitar players that will tell you, as far as the Telecaster, they would rather have a Mexican-made Tele than an American one.
Than an American one, right? Yeah. No, it's very, very true. And I think one of the great things about the Mexican economy is they have a lot more attention to detail, and they take a lot of pride in producing quality products. And with our Mexican partners there, we've had guys from their factory come up here and work during the summer to learn our products and those kind of things. Just great quality work. They want to learn that it really is an emerging country, and it is a resource for us here in the U.S. And I grew up in Pennsylvania. I get people asking me all the time, "Oh, what about the problems with Mexico?" And I'm like, "Look, we're desperate. You can't hire a person in Phoenix right now. There's nobody to hire. Trust me. You can run an ad. You can run." 2 years ago, you could run an ad for, let's say, somebody that can work on motorcycles, and you'd get 40 people that apply. You run an ad now, and you have to check every couple of days to make sure it's still there, because it's just crickets. There's nobody to work. And so we need that labor. We need those kind of things. And we're excited about our relationship with our Mexican suppliers. And to us, it's emerging, right? Like I said out on the floor, we're going to be a hybrid product later this year, where half the product comes from Mexico, half of it comes from Asia. Some of it will come locally. But our goal is to keep chipping away at that and bringing onshore as much as we possibly can. Yes, there's advantages to quality. Yes, there's advantages to time. But to be honest with you, when you're growing at the rate we're growing, we grew 323% last year. The cash flow just murders you. When you got to send your money overseas and you don't get it back for 4 or 5 months, and then you got to turn that into product,
right?
You can't cycle cash fast enough to ever really grow.
And what are you going to do when I understand that right now your demand way exceeds your supply? So what are you going to do? Are you going to like triple the size of this factory? You got a TV show coming out.
The good thing is with the floor, the production floor that you saw, we're not optimizing that floor right now. I actually have 17 total bays out there that we can build on. Each produces 11 scooters per shift. So I've got lots of capacity.
You just need to hire more people.
Yeah, it's more the supply chain that's killing me right now. Okay. I can't get the parts fast enough.
So shifting to Mexico will help.
In that shift, we're in the middle of the shift, right? So we still have an 80% Asian supply chain product on the shelf, and then we're starting to bring in other components. So we're working out. We're actually going to run out of product this summer for a while, and that'll be sort of our hard transition point. Okay, we're done with this. Now we move to the next product. And
Obama had the pivot. That was the word, the pivot to Asia. Yeah. You're doing the pivot to Mexico.
Right, exactly, the pivot back to Mexico. And I love that. And I think it'll be good for the business. But the TV show, it's a problem, but it's a problem that we have had since we got started. We don't do a lot of marketing. Our marketing budget for the last 90 days, we've spent a total, I think it was $260. Oh, wow. And that was because somebody forgot to turn an ad off, and then I caught it, and I'm like, damn it, shut that thing off.
Well, it's when you have a product that sells itself, because I'll tell you, I think you got started in, 2017?
17, yeah.
So back in maybe 2018, I was looking for something just like this, and I did come across you on the internet, and I was fascinated by it. And it kind of left my radar scope because I'm into standing up and riding. I do motorcycles too, but let's take a break here real quick, and I want to ask you one more thing. I want to ask you more about the scooters themselves. Talk about the big wheels and the different designs that you do and those kind of things. Okay, so we'll have a break here for station identification.
The Electric Scooter Podcast. It's happening now.
All right, Derek. Now I would like to find out more about your scooters, how they differ from the standard two-wheel, stand-up scooters. Now there are a lot of hybrids now. They're regular scooters, but they mostly have 11 inch is the largest. That's what I have, is a Wolf Warrior. But I think 8.5 is kind of the standard, and now they're moving towards 10 inch as being a standard. But I can tell you from experience that when you go over a pothole or hit a rock, it's not always the best experience in the world. So tell me why they're Phat Scooters and why the tires and the different types of tires, because you have street
we do have a couple different types of tires. This is a much big. This is more like a motorcycle and less like a stand-up scooter, right? This is a 150-pound unit, right? I mean,
my scooter, let me just tell you, is 101.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow,
and
that's
there
pretty
are
impressive.
Scooters like the 011X that are over 120.
Yeah.
So you're not really. It's not incredibly.
Not, I mean, but it's got a 20, 25 amp battery in it. I mean, it's got. We're trying to get 30 to 50 mile range is what we usually are looking to try for. This is definitely a little bit more on the luxury end of the spectrum. As we talked about on the floor, the average sale is about $4,000. We looked at $12,000 scooters out there. I've got a $25,000 scooter in the showroom. We do a lot of customization. The big wide tires do make it relatively easy and very, very stable to ride. It does require, though, it takes a little bit of getting used to, because you almost have to lean into it like a motorcycle, because you do have that big fat tire. It's not going to have that quick turning radius.
So if you're turning left, you can push right.
on the handlebar. That's what I do on
yeah, right. Yeah, you get a little bit of
exactly
the same dynamic of that, and that takes a little bit of something to get used to. We're really big on suspension. We want it to be a smooth ride. We have front suspension in every one of our models. Our top selling model, we have rear suspension as well. But
the big pneumatic tires, there are suspension in their own. If you had zero suspension, that would be
zero. And there are some other, you'll see some of these big tire electric scooter companies that are out there that you can find on Alibaba and
from India,
Walmart, and those kind of things. Yeah, and you'll notice they don't have any suspension. They don't have hydraulic brakes. They don't have all of those sort of luxury features that we've put into ours because. It is a little bit more of a country club style vibe, right? I mean, people are cruising the beach, they're cruising the boardwalk. A lot of people do stand on our scooters, and that's sort of a benefit of, the tall handlebars. You can do both. You can sit and you can stand. But yeah, I mean, and then we've got different types of tires. We've got knobby tires. Because of this new transition, we're looking at 3 or 4 different.
Let's go back because you kind of glossed over the handlebars.
Yeah.
I've seen Z-bars. I've seen ape hangers. Basically, the really cool things you see on motorcycles, I see on your scooters.
Absolutely. And those are all prototypes right now because that's starting. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, we have 2 standard handlebars now. We have a shorter one and a taller one. But Russell Wilson, actually from the Seattle Seahawks, sort of made a change for us last year, and that was that he and Ciara wanted these really tall ape hangers. So we custom designed them for him, and then for Christmas he decided to buy them for the players.
To be honest, that's what I would want because it would be better for standing.
Absolutely,
if you're standing up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we, that got us into the modifications of our brake lines and our wiring harnesses, and now we've realized, hey, look, we can take our core frame and we can put 6 or 7 different types of handlebars on there. I've got a pair of apes out there that they're going to put on my scooter. They're ridiculous.
You're having a custom one made for yourself?
They're ridiculous. Yeah, I have my scooters at the house, but they have the handlebars, and then they put a big sissy bar on it, a 42-foot or 42-inch sissy bar with a big light. You can just get
at the
crazy.
risk of sounding shallow. Yeah. What color?
Mine is actually all copper. Everything's copper.
Oh, I love that.
So polished copper fenders, polished copper floorboard. Actually, they sent me some pictures the other day of a copper paint that we're actually going to probably tear it down and paint that. And then I've got some. Of course, mine has a prototype motor, and it might go a little bit faster than the speed limit.
Do you have the hammered fenders?
I have the hammered fenders, yeah. So, that is the cool thing about Phat Scooters.
Put some Brembo brakes on it and Olean suspension.
You're right with me on it. But we do get that, and that's why we do get a lot of these. We get a lot of consumer brands. We get a lot of luxury brands. And as you saw on the floor, liquor companies, 20% of our sales are to liquor companies. And those are not standard scooters. They want, as you saw, they want it matched to the color of the new product that's coming out. And they want all these different things. We're working on a project right now with a movie studio. I cannot tell you how many samples of powder coat have gone out to them, and just yesterday they approved it.
Are all of your bikes powder coated as opposed to painted?
Yes, everything's powder coated. Yeah, we don't do the paint thing.
Wow.
We will do some custom paint occasionally for customers if we can't find a powder coat match, because it's a little bit trickier. But we will get some. There's a couple metallics out there right now for a liquor company, and they're just like, it has to be this gold paint. It can't be anything else. Okay, we'll do it.
I saw a candy apple blue out there that is a color I've never seen in my entire life. Who came up with that?
That was actually a liquor company that came up with it. I will tell you, and we allude to it on the TV show, but a very, very well-known collector of high-end cars actually has patented a Shelby color that was mistakenly produced on one car for Carroll Shelby. And we're talking with him right now about this being the only other vehicle in existence.
It's not like a bullet green, is it? Or you can't reveal it?
I can't even reveal it. It's in his private collection. It hasn't been seen anywhere else, but it's a color that he literally had to get it patented.
Wow.
And nobody can use this color. And he's like, maybe I should do a scooter in it so that there's this one car in the world and this one scooter in the world. But we've done this before where we've had guys that have high-end Lambos or Bugattis that call in and they're like, hey, look, I want an identical match to it, right? Yeah. So we get those kind of crazy calls, and that's part of the fun of what we do, is that really high-end customization.
What a great conversation. There goes Derek, COO of Phat Scooters in Phoenix, Arizona. But there's more to the conversation. Stay tuned to episode 21, where we will air part 2. We're going to talk about high-end customization, some of the crazy designs that their customers have come up with. Also, standard customization. If you just want different handlebars or some strange color combination, stay tuned and you'll find out that you don't have to be a billionaire to afford a customized scooter. Also, you're going to get some examples from some of the brands like Nike and some of the alcohol brands that had pretty out there scooters designed for them. I got to see them on the floor, and they're pretty neat, I'll tell you that. I've got some pictures. Again, Dagwood Street's YouTube channel. You'll be able to see some of those, and they already have some posted on their website. We're also going to talk about, get this, lipstick thread lock. News you can use. I'd never heard of it before. We all call it Loctite, right? There's the red and the blue. I use the blue on scooters because it's less permanent. But he's come across what he says is very expensive lipstick type application for thread lock. We're also going to talk about the TV show coming up on Crackle, Riding Phat, as well as checking in with ZTE, Zero to Epic, on his trip across these continental United States on electric scooters. So stay tuned for episode 21. And until then, keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down.